Hey everybody, Jeff here from this podcast. Instead of the quote, which I guess now in hindsight I haven't done in quite a few episodes, it's me at the start of this episode giving a little bit of a warning. Now, normally these warnings are before scary episodes of The Simpsons or before episodes where there might be, parental guidance suggested. Actually, I'm just doing this because a little bit into this episode, TC and I realized, should we have been worried about spoilers for Meet the Robinsons? And just to be safe, because you never know, and I don't want anybody to get mad in case we did spoil this film for you, spoilers, I guess. This movie does kind of fall just outside of the 10-year rule for spoilers, but we're assuming if you're listening to this podcast, you in fact have seen this film and you know what the twists are that happen in this film. If not, please do not listen to this episode because we kind of just talk about it, and that, it wouldn't be fun if we spoiled it for you. So, just go ahead and not listen to it if you haven't seen this film. It's on Netflix, so if you want to, go watch it right now. It's only an hour and a half. And then, just stop doing your work, stop driving to work, stop taking the kids to school. Just, go and watch it right now. Your bosses and your kids will understand. And then come back and listen to the episode later on. And that is all. Just wanted to give a nice little polite heads up and enjoy the show. Hello, Internet Dwellers, and welcome back to Top Shelf Disney Animation Studios Library, the podcast where we started with Snow White and we go all the way up to Moana and talk about every Disney animation film from the studios. Not everyone, because we don't have 25 years to talk about these movies. Oof. I am Jeff, so I tried to come up with something different, and that was the closest I could come up with. I'm Jeff.
Good approximation there, Jeff. Good job. I'm TC.
And humoring me there is TC. Hi, TC. How you doing?
Hi. Good to be back. Here we are. We delayed recording this week, so we had a couple extra days here. Yep. I've been busy, so typically it's Jeff who's busy, but no, this time it was me.
It was you that was busy. Now, in all fairness, I was a little under the weather on Monday, so actually this kind of worked out a little well. A little well? That's a little grammar.
Words,
right?
We're back.
As you guys all know, I can't talk. That's just that's my character. That's my character I play on this show.
Yeah.
Jeff, the guy who can't talk.
Well, Jeff, the guy who can't talk, what are we talking about this week?
Well, this week we are watching number 47 on our list of 55 currently movies. 56. I keep saying 55. I keep forgetting about Moana. 56 movies. The number 2007 CG animated film, that's throwing me off for such a loop, Meet the Robinsons.
Meet the Robinsons. This is the first one done under the new Disney Animation Studios because Pixar's contract ended just before this movie was released, so they had to, they needed to really physically, business-wise separate themselves from Pixar.
Right.
Obviously, as people know now, Pixar did come back to Disney, but there was a short time here where Pixar did separate themselves from Disney.
And it was kind of interesting to look back at these. So when this movie came out in 2007, and I know I briefly mentioned this at the end of last week's episode, but Chicken Little, our previous film that we watched, came out in 2005. So there was a year gap where there was not one of these Disney animated films that were released.
Right.
That's the first time that there was not one of these movies released in a year since after Aladdin in 92.
Well, maybe they shouldn't have released two Disney movies in the same year, and they could have filled this gap.
That's true. That is very true. Or two, man, what was it? We had like three there with Fantasia, Dinosaur, and Emperor's New Groove,
that's right,
and then a couple with Lilo and Stitch and Treasure Planet. Yeah, really. Actually, at this point, they could have had banked movies at this point.
That's just not how business works, Jeff. You hit a release date. It's like the more modern a movie gets, the harder it is to like move a release date, especially with fast food and toys and all that stuff the tie-in merchandise.
Well, because for toys, that those toys, the designs for the toys got sent to the manufacturers probably a good year or so more in advance, and they've been making the toys and they're starting production on that. In order for the toy manufacturer to make their money back on their stuff, they have to be able to get them out on the store shelves, but they can't get them out too early before the movie comes out. So it's like you got this precious, delicate little balance of marketing, and I don't know why I turned into Woody Allen.
Well, one of the main reasons this got delayed, this was actually delayed a year because this was 4 years in production. Lasseter came on about halfway through production on this. The director was switched. They remade about half the movie. They had to recast the voice actor who plays Lewis because his voice broke. There was some rewrites that were done, but Lasseter coming in. So now we are actually going to be seeing the effects of John Lasseter's hand, the man one of the men responsible for crafting and creating Pixar and the greatness that is Pixar. He came in here, had them redo the villain because he didn't feel that the bowler hat man was villainous enough, and actually Doris, the actual villain behind this, was created. Although that does show a little bit of Lasseterism in there, because if you consider the fact that Wall-E was already in his head for already a decade,
right.
And if you think of the evil robot in Wall-E, there's a little bit of a trademark of Lasseter right there, the evil sentient robot, because also consider Incredibles gets itself a sentient evil robot as well. What's Lasseter trying to warn us about?
I feel like Lasseter saw 2001: A Space Odyssey when he was 2, and it just destroyed his trust in anything technological
of artificial intelligence. It's fine. I mean, it's interesting if you think about those 3 evil AIs are different in their own way. The Syndrome's evil spherical creation, and then the Anchor, the ship, the evil. It's Sigourney Weaver from Wall-E. Anyway, so he went in and had them create a stronger villain. And as we've seen through the course of this library, sometimes the movie is only as good as its villain. And we can discuss Bowler Hat Man as we get further along. But they had to reshoot or re-render, I suppose, a lot of this movie with more story elements, more action sequences, the new sidekick. And that's the hand of Lasseter working. Now, last week, I just want to do this real quick.
Okay.
Because did you guys let me have it? My favorite tweet from one of our listeners was that I decided to set up a joke of correcting you on Gary and Penny Marshall. And I wasted all that time doing that I couldn't fact check the Romeo and Juliet, which was not a Disney production. And Brad, thank you for pointing out. You weren't the one that tweeted at me. Someone else tweeted at me that, maybe if you had spent more time fact checking Romeo and Juliet, you wouldn't have had time to correct Jeff for a simple error on the Marshalls. And you guys are right. I could not I knew that there was something that was supposed to be released as canon to this library, and it was moved by Lasseter, and I thought it was Romeo and Juliet, and I apologize for that misinformation. It's actually pains me that I did that, because to make such an obvious error, it puts into question everything I've ever said on this podcast.
Guys, we are going to have to start this podcast completely over. We're going to go back to Snow White.
Oh, no. No, I appreciate, I love the listeners for calling me out on that, because I don't want to be factually inaccurate. And I had to figure out which movie I was thinking of. The 2 movies Lasseter moved out of Disney canon were the Tigger movie and Piglet's Big Movie. And he put those 2 straight to DVD releases and moved them to Disney Toon Animation Studios. So there was something that he moved. I wasn't completely wrong.
Just for the record, I enjoy the fact that karma kind of came back. Also, I totally did not pay everybody to yell at you.
What?
Just to make me feel good.
Knew it. You know what? You'll pay for
this podcast is only as good as its villain. And guess who's the villain?
Okay,
it's not me.
My apologies for last week. Jeff, I need to know, did you manage to watch this movie without any knowledge that it was a time travel movie?
I did.
Yes. All right.
Not
cool.
even kidding.
It was great.
I did not know it was a time travel film. I think that's what led me to be a little confused about the movie, because I'm not going to lie. My general thought of this movie is I'm confused. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel like I might need to watch it again now that I know what to expect out of it.
Okay. Yeah.
Perhaps, but I did. I had no idea it was a time travel movie. They introduce it in this world where it's kind of the it's kind of I couldn't tell where in time it took place. It felt like the boy. I'm spacing on the character's name. Is
Lewis.
it Wilbur? No,
Lewis.
Lewis. Thank you.
Yeah.
Lewis kind of felt like his time was taking place in like a 60s, like a mid to late 60s era, kind of. It's one of those where it's broad enough. It could be just any time with just that aesthetic.
It's quote unquote present day.
Right. See,
but thankfully not present day enough that they littered it with 90s references. Damn you, Chicken Little.
True. Though I do know that because the movie does go to 2037. That's when they go to the future.
Okay, so then 2007. I believe he went 30 years.
So that means then it was present day, but at the same time it was a present day with a 60s aesthetic to the whole thing. It's like, which is not unheard of. But I think that confused me a little bit because I'm watching it going, okay, so what? Okay, this is a movie. He's in this time. He's in this time. He's in a modern day. Oh, he's a tech guy. Okay, he's going to come up with an invention. And as it was going along, I'm like, okay, if this invention's to read minds, does it accidentally become a time machine? That was my first thought. Well, I was trying to outguess this film.
Yeah.
And then once the other boy shows up,
that's Wilbur.
That's Wilbur. See, the names of these characters, I just had the darndest time trying to keep track of. Once he shows up, then I'll go, oh, okay. So he's obviously from a different time.
Yeah.
And then it just was super confusing for a while.
We had the after we had stopped recording yesterday. I don't even remember how we got onto it, but we started talking about time travel. And you were just, I love time travel. I love time travel. And I'm like, gonna watch one. It's a time travel movie next week. Yay!
And it was it was in fact an interesting time travel film.
Yeah, yeah.
I was intrigued by it. I mean, it does hit a lot of the tropes. It hits a lot of the kind of the cliche things like, oh, the bad guy actually is the older version. Is his friend, but he doesn't know it's his friend because it's his friend from the future. And
it's goo, and he looks very different. That kid had a growth spurt.
Yeah. Oh man, had a growth spurt and then just hunched over completely.
It was the anger. The anger did it.
The anger that made him do it. No, it was an interesting film. I did get a sense of. I just want to lay out some of the more negative comments I might have off the bat here, just because I did enjoy it. I just was confused. It did, quality-wise, it actually felt a little bit more like it should have been a TV show.
Oh, you know what? I made a similar note, having done this rewatching it now. I'd only seen this once before in its entirety, and I liked it. And my nephew went for a spell where he watched it a lot, so I would see it intermittently, which gave me some affection for a little bit of affinity for the film because I'd seen little bits so often. But rewatching it again this time in its entirety, it does feel like a setup for a TV series. There's enough characters and things to play with that this could be the adventures of Lewis through time with his future family.
Right. And that's it with all those individual characters. I mean, we spend 10, 15 minutes introducing literally every character in this family. the 1,200 people that make up his family. And they all have such interesting backstories that you only really ever get one or two of briefly, and it's kind of at the end of the film. Unfortunately, it almost feels a little shoehorned in, like the last 5 minutes of the film when everything is done, everything's safe, and the world is okay, and the future's not going to be what you're thinking it's going to be, and he's back. Lewis is back to his own time. It's like, oh, I'm changing my name to Cornelius, and oh look, there's the two older couple that were from the future, and oh hey, I just met my future wife. Oh look, she likes it's all of these things that just really quickly shoehorned in.
The ending does feel a little too easy, and I don't know if he changed his name to Cornelius or if that's actually his name and he just went by Lewis because Cornelius is maybe not the coolest name for a kid to have. That's how I took it. That his name was Cornelius, but he just went by Lewis. But that ending, it's like all in the garage there. It's like, oh, okay, here's everything. Here's all the pieces I need to create the future. And being a time travel movie, there's always paradoxical. Like you got to follow your rules. They did a nice thing in the very, very beginning when Lewis's mother leaves him on the stoop. you hear the scrape of Lewis's foot that makes her turn around.
Which is interesting, because that brings me back. Okay, guys, guess what? This is going to be a time travel episode of this podcast. We're going to talk about it for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because that brings it to, what type of time travel movie is this?
Mm-hmm. Is it a closed loop? Did this always happen?
Right. Or is it a Back to the Future type where you can change the future if you do things in a certain way? Because like if they introduced that concept in the beginning where you heard Lewis's foot scrape, then that, I mean, I guess in theory, that in the beginning, that quote unquote flashback could really have been a flashback to the rewritten history. You know, you could argue that that's what that flashback actually is.
So we didn't see it sequentially. We saw that scene which would take place later in the film.
Correct. Right. Or you could argue that that's what we actually saw.
I kind of think we should argue that because Lewis saves Goob in the end. Like Goob, who becomes the bowler hat man that launches this whole thing into the time travel paradox. So like he's the bad guy, right? Well, he erased that from happening by having him catch the. A spoiler? Do we need to? I mean, I'm assuming people listening to this watch the movie.
I am hoping, and we are starting to be in that dangerous territory of if a film is younger than 10 years old, we do have to yell spoilers, I guess, at the beginning, because this movie did come out just over 10 years ago.
Right, but I'd like to think anyone listening to this has seen this movie, at least have seen it, or they've rewatched it before listening. And weirdly enough, because this is time travel, because there's a twist ending, we're kind of in a territory I don't feel like we've necessarily had before in any of these movies. Have we?
No.
Right? Have we had to worry about that sort of... Yes, there's been twists and turns. Like if you go to Atlantis, there's obviously the reveal that who the bad guy actually is. But this is the first conversation I feel like we're having where it's like, wait, do we need to...
Should we have told people that we're spoiling the ending? Because
Mufasa dies.
No, not even the ending. Spoiling the middle. Spoiling the first 20 minutes, actually. Like it's a good point, though. That's a good point because I mean, me going into it, having never seen this film, I didn't see. First off, I didn't see the twist that Lewis was the dad. I thought it was weird that we didn't see, it was funny that, we see everybody else in the family, but then when it gets to Lewis, it's not. There's no picture of him.
What's your dad look like?
Well, he's kind of like...
Tom Selleck.
Which I did think that joke was funny. And then once Cornelius actually starts talking at the end, and I went, oh, and it actually is voiced by Tom Selleck. I got super happy.
It took me till the credits, because like when it happened, I'm like, oh my God, whose voice is that? I know that voice. Who is that voice? And then the credits roll, and it was Tom Selleck. That's hilarious.
It was actually Tom Selleck, which is just better.
Well done, movie.
But
go ahead.
I did not see that coming. I didn't make the connection. I thought it was weird. I was trying to figure out why it's such a big deal, that he's from the past, or what, like just there's got to be a bigger connection to this family. So I didn't see that coming. I didn't see Goob being the villain until the scene when Goob is talking to the bowler hat man in his room. And this bowler hat man stops and yells at him for
let it fester.
Let it fester. And I went, okay, he's the older version of him.
Oh wow, you figured that out that early.
Because I'm like, no, that's too personal of a comment, because that's a comment a person would make to themselves. Mm-hmm. Like literally that they talk to themselves, not to a random little boy. Like that was the one thing I went, oh, okay, he's the older version of him. Still didn't know how he became a bad guy. Like that was still a mystery. I kind of think
maybe you picked up on that because of your love for time travel scenarios, that you were looking for those clues. Because
once I knew there was a time travel film, I was looking for the clues.
Yeah, you were once exactly. Once you saw it, okay. All right, so all the information will be here early to pay off in the end. So that's just your time travel brain.
I like time travel. It's fun. It's entertaining. So have we decided, is this very much so? Okay, so this is a timeline. It's a time travel film where they can change the future.
I think I'm going with Back to the Future rules, because this whole movie itself feels like there's homages to Back to the Future. Not really heavy-handed ones per se, but the fact that it's Wilbur going back and meeting his dad, screwing up the future, and having to work together to save the future. That's if someone wants to claim this doesn't have homages to Back to the Future, I'm going to call him a liar.
It's funny. It's actually kind of it's Back to the Future, but from the perspective of the dad.
Right.
I didn't make that connection until you just said that. But
it's like if you're watching Back to the Future from George's perspective, right?
Right. Lewis is George and Wilbur is Marty. And instead of us following Marty back from the future to the past, we're seeing Marty come back to the present from the future. Interesting. I like that. I like that. And one of the other things I really did like, I liked the concept of when, like, the defeating of the bad guy. Mm-hmm. All right, so we've already spoiled. We already said who the bad guy is. That it's Doris, the AI bowler hat invention. The
evil bowler hats with the red eye. That's how you know.
With the red eye.
That's how you know.
See, Cornelius should have just made it with a blue eye, and it would not have been bad.
I don't know. Have you ever seen someone with a Bluetooth just walking around? That blue light is evil.
That is true. Okay, make it with a green one and we'll call it even.
Okay, good. Well, no, then we'll think they were good guys. Oh, Jeff.
Oh, it's so hard. But, like, I like the fact that... So that's the villain. And how does he take the villain down at the end of the movie? It's not, like, some technical, like, hack. Like, he doesn't, like, write a virus that destroys the AI or brainwashes him. It's literally him going, wait, I won't invent you.
He's using Bill and Ted rules.
Yes. Which I went, that's funny. Because that's not what... I mean, even with it being a time travel film... I still expected the villain's demise to be some just traditional trope, or something happened.
Deactivate the satellites. We need to hack the system.
Right.
Nope.
Right.
Just looking them in the face and saying, "I will never invent you.
I'll never invent you." And then it ceases to exist. Like, that's an interesting concept to me, and I liked that twist at the end of the film.
Yeah.
It was just fun. I liked that.
Cool. Well, thanks for listening, everybody. This has been episode 4. No.
And we're done. I think that was a great episode. Good talking,
job.
TC.
No,
not yet.
This movie in general, I feel, is much better than what we had last 2 weeks, right? And we're better than Home on the Range, better than Chicken Little. Which, side note, back to our wonderful listeners again. Man, people hate Chicken Little. Whoo-wee, do people hate Chicken Little.
I feel like TC, you were probably the smarter one at putting it at number 4, right as we ended.
Right at the last, but even then, I mean, which is fine. It's fascinating to me. That's why I love making the lists as we do, trying to rank these movies and in our particular taste. We had a lot of between you and I guess this is a conversation that would be better suited for when we rank Meet the Robinsons. But it's worth saying just. How we rank these depends on how we view it, how we're feeling personally, and our conversations here sometimes change their minds. Looking at it from technical as opposed to plot and narrative, the characters themselves, the music, like there's a lot of aspects that go into how we rank them. But I don't think I'm being unfair by saying Meet the Robinsons is much better than the last 2. Possibly 3. I guess I don't want to give any hint of where I'm going to rank this, but so just comparing it to Chicken Little, which was Disney's entry into the realm of completely CGI animated movies on their own, not non-Pixar. This movie's so much superior to Chicken Little.
Yeah, it's you can already see they're starting to refine themselves a little bit. It's kind of hard, though. I can't say that it's a clear cut, like, oh, well, this is obviously night and day better than Chicken Little. Unfortunately, from like a technical side, because again, I will look at certain parts of this film, from the technical aspect of it, and even the writing side of it, and the animation of the characters and the voice acting. I'll look at it from all those point of views. It's not night and day better. But you can see that there's they obviously they had something they were already working with, and they started already kind of learning something.
Right.
Not a whole lot, because Chicken Little had only been out for a short time, and this had already been in production for equally as long.
I think it's worth pointing at what I already mentioned with Lasseter's effect on changing the villain and having them moving the director to refilm half of this movie. If you then it's almost a little easier. It might be a little fuzzy, but it's kind of easier to look at what was probably changed from the original, because you're not wrong. Some of the voice acting, some of the animation, it's weak. It's not. This is not at a Pixar level, but I think with something like the two villains, right? You got Goob and or the Bowler Hat Man, and you got Doris the Hat. That feels Pixar-y, right? And though some of the traveling through the future, right? When they're going through the city and in the time machine after Wilbur brings Lewis, that does not pack a punch like I think it should. It's a neat scene to watch him flying through the city and see the people traveling by bubble and some of the technology, but that does not pack the sort of punch I feel something like Pixar would. If you look at some of the universes they introduce, it feels more generic future. And even being in the house with the family, that's it. That's our cast of characters. We don't see crowd sequences, really. We don't see even the science fair. There's only the characters that speak are in that gym, so it feels limited in its scope for a movie that's traveling through time and space. It has those limitations. So looking at character and looking at story, I see touches of the greatness to come, or the greatness of that Lasseter could bring into Disney.
Ideally, it probably would have been better if this was a film that had not already been in production.
Yes,
when Lasseter came over, because I have a feeling from the get-go, Lasseter would have pushed the film fully in Pixar direction. And it would have been a different film altogether, with a lot of the same beats, but would have been a very different film altogether.
This is the difference between the era of Katzenberg and Eisner and the era we have now entered in with Lasseter. With Eisner and Katzenberg, for all their successes, they looked at it as businessmen. They looked at it, how can we capitalize on the success of this potential film? How can we capitalize on the popularity of Broadway and inject that into our movies? Pocahontas, Hunchback, when you go further in the era, okay, lose the musical. How do we get the pop stars in there? They approached film from a business perspective. And yes, Lasseter is a businessman. He helped form Pixar. But if anyone's ever read there's a great Pixar book that I'll recommend later. Lasseter, the Pixar guys, everything it starts with the story. It starts with the character. That's the most important thing to them, is crafting a story that means something, and then making the setting matter to the story, making the characters enhance the themes and the motifs. And though we do not see that fully realized here in Meet the Robinsons, Lasseter's hand in approaching film from that respect, we are going to see that as these movies go along. Stronger and stronger character arcs and stronger stories being told.
And that's kind of where I'm excited. Much like back when we were in the initial dark ages of Disney in the 80s, to see where Disney went. Or even, I could even argue, even back to the early 70s, watching where Disney went when Walt went away. And seeing less of his impact went away, like he went up north to visit family. No, when he passed away is what I meant. But then seeing where the movies went, and then where they in theory hit bottom, and then started coming back up again. This era is it's interesting to watch to see where how much of Lasseter's input do we get on these movies just as we go from film to film, and you watch it evolve into what is essentially known as my goodness, I got onto a loop. My mouth stopped working and brains just kept repeating.
Yeah.
Essentially is a Pixar quality film.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see that. I'm interested to see how it naturally evolves into that.
And that's not to say that they aren't still going to be producing films for the sake of business. Let us not forget that Cars is the most successful Disney franchise of all time. And if that's not, it may have started as the love of the idea because Cars is Lasseter's baby, and that is a cash cow beyond cash cows. No, definitely. I'm sorry. So yes, we will not. It's not like we can forgive the business maneuvers that we are going to see from this point on, because yes, there will be. But it's worth noting the importance of story and the structure of stories from this point on. Now, I had a friend once point out, a friend of ours, Jeff, Bill Corey, he's another podcaster. Mm-hmm. He says, when you're reviewing a movie, the more you talk about another movie reflects on the movie you should be talking about. And we've been segueing away from Meet the Robinsons quite a bit. So let's rein it back in and talk about this film. Did you like it? Like, you said you want to maybe rewatch it again.
I do. I want to rewatch it again. There was a there was a handful of moments in the film that I genuinely laughed out loud. Mm-hmm. I always jot down what the line is in my notes, just so I can kind of look back over and be like, did I laugh when I watched this film, or was it just confusion the entire time? So there was a handful of moments that I enjoyed, but there was a lot of this film I was just confused with, and it felt a little too frantic at some points to me. Once we got to the house in the future, I was very confused as to what this movie was about at this point, and I did not understand the introduction of the 10 or 15 family members.
This family just keeps going and going.
Yeah, I didn't get it. I honestly, and I didn't know, like, okay, is this leading to something? Where are we going with this? Because there was no good signs to tell me that's where it was going.
Yeah, structurally, they're throwing a lot at us with not much context to build upon. I understand.
Right, and that's what threw me off for so much, and it kind of made me step out of the film for a little while when I was watching it, because it took me a bit to get back on to what the plot was.
Right.
And then once they introduced the concept of what the plot was, and I was okay, and now I'm a little bit more on board. And then all of a sudden, like the last 20 minutes of the film, it becomes kind of this actiony, this sci-fi action chase, sequence involving the robots and this alternate
dinosaur
timeline. Oh my goodness, it completely. Okay, all right, I'm not gonna lie, guys. The brainwashed frog did make me laugh a lot, especially when Goob stopped responding, and the brainwashed frog is just like, boss,
master,
like
master.
that kind
master.
I'm starting to think this plan wasn't thought through very clever. Like, stuff like that made me laugh. Like, I enjoyed that part of the film.
Good callback to that with the dinosaur saying it again later. Like, I don't think you thought his plan out very well.
The damn dinosaur made me feel sad, too. Because I'm like, he's got tiny little arms. He can't reach it. But, that's the thing. Is there's a lot of good moments in the film that I thoroughly enjoyed, but unfortunately, to get to them, it was just a little muddled and a little confusing sometimes, and that's what it kind of just made me bounce back and forth as to my enjoyment of the film. And that's why I think I need to watch it again, because now that I know everything that happens, I feel like, and I know the type of movie it is, I feel like if I watched it a second time, I would get it. I would understand what this movie is a little bit better.
I bet you would. Having gone back today, for our discussion today and rewatched it, I found a little more enjoyment in it now. Having watched, knowing all the twists and turns that were going to happen, I could hone in on some of the foreshadowing elements and some of the more thematic elements. I say it has this. It doesn't have the pointing to not having crowd scenes and not having having a very limited scope to a movie that should have a grander scope. Looking at the journey of Lewis and his desire to feel welcome and loved and wanting to have a family, that's there. It's that's the through line, and it's a clear cut through line. It just gets a little scatterbrained as it's going along. But I think the strength of the film is in Lewis's journey to wanting a family and knowing he can achieve that in the future. So I think you should give it a second viewing casually. On the other hand, this isn't one of those Disney movies that I race back to watch. In coming up to rewatching it now, I'm like, I love that it has a Back to the Future-esque vibe to it. I hope that is consistent as I'm sitting down to watch it now. You pointing out the humor, though we do have those like some of the jokes come a little too quickly, and they stack them too much. There are some really solid laugh out loud moments for me. Chuckle out loud, if you will. Smile out loud, even. The first joke in the movie that made me go, ha, like give a good solid laugh was after the PB&J scene where he sprays the Mr. Harrison, the Mr. and Mrs. Harrison. Then he's up on the roof. Lois is up on the roof moping, and then the caretaker from the orphanage comes up and goes, "Poor Mr. Harrison. I killed him? No, he's fine."
That's the thing, is that's another good point, because we have seen some of these movies already, just from ones that we watched, where they keep throwing jokes at you, and two may not land, but you'll get one that'll be funny, and they don't care if you miss it because they're going to throw another joke at you right away.
And it's different than last week, though, because with Chicken Little, I said there's plenty of jokes that don't land, but just wait 30 seconds and you'll get a joke that will work. I think this one, the jokes that work come when things slow down, and the joke has a proper setup knockdown. Not to say the Tom Selleck joke doesn't work when he's like, "What's your dad look like?" Tom Selleck, and then they put the painting of Tom Selleck up. That's pretty great. Like that, but the quick jokes don't work all that well.
Right. And that's another one of those situations where I'm wondering if the jokes that do work, the ones that take their time to actually land correctly, are part of that 60% that was redone for the film. Well, are the ones that come fast and just don't land, or is that the holdover from the original cut of the film or the original version of the film?
I'd say that's a fair theory if you consider the humor between Home on the Range to this, Home on the Range to Chicken Little to this. Unfortunately, you can see the joke, like the P. There's 2 P jokes in this. Like so. Yeah. I just, for the forgiveness of loving this library, I have to think, okay, that was the stuff that wasn't working that we've gotten the past few movies, and the stuff that works is like, okay, this is the stuff is going to come. The humor, I think the humor with the bowler hat man as the villain is great. If anyone's ever watched or read a series on unfortunate events, the villain feels very much like Count Olaf.
Just I can see
his
that
overly dramatic mustache twirling, like and a lot of his mannerisms and delivery is very humorous.
I did get a little bit from the bowler hat man of Dr. Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb.
Yes, there's
like
right.
Just a little bit, and I don't know if it's his portrayal or it's just the idea that he's kind of inept as well at being able to do anything.
Doris is the real villain here, because I loved when he's explaining what he did, and he's like, "And then my revenge," and he's egging the house.
Like, that feels like that's that little, and obviously Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb, which came out in 2007, so right around this exact same time. It was just more than likely it's just a coincidence, but I did get a little bit of that too, and I'm like, I like that. That's funny. That's entertaining, and it is something different from a villain that we really. I mean, I guess you could get a little bit of it from like Emperor's New Groove, kind of that sillier, goofier villain. But at this point in our films, I don't think we've really seen that much often.
Like a truly incompetent villain like this guy is.
Right.
I don't like, and his rationale is crazy. Like walking through school, hey Goob, how you doing? They hated me. Like it. His story is so great. Like he's a really fun villain, that I don't feel like we've had an incompetent villain before. I'm trying to think now. I mean, we have dum-dums like Gaston, but Gaston's a threat. Like he's a for real threat, and Kronk isn't really a bad guy. He's right,
and that was my argument, was that really Kronk and Yzma aren't necessarily bad guys. They're just doing,
Well, she did try to murder a guy.
Okay, details.
He's supposed to be
details. Dead. These are details we do not need to attach ourselves to.
Okay.
I suppose she is but she's kind of incompetent, but at the same time, she's only as incompetent as the guy that she left in charge to take care of this crap, which is Kronk, who is not a bad guy. So
it's a tradition to have an incompetent minion. The very first minion in this entire library couldn't do the dirty deed of killing Snow White. He had to let her run away. So,
true.
It's kind of
that
a standard.
That set the
precedence. Kill her. I'm going to let you go.
Mostly because I don't really feel like it. It's bad.
This movie has a lot going for it. I think that there is a lot of stuff here, and this isn't one of those movies that would annoy me if I was watching it on a loop. Like I said, my nephew watched it quite a bit, and I always find a moment to turn my head and look at the TV and be like, that's a fun moment. I like that. I just don't think it has the strength of a good majority of some of the best movies. This certainly isn't a Renaissance level film.
I was going to ask a question because I was trying to find online to see if there might have been a little bit more to it. But this film ends with a message from Walt Disney.
Well, yes, with Walt himself. There's a quote that comes up to end the movie. Correct.
Right. Now, I wanted to know what the significance behind that quote was. That's what I was trying to find out. I can't find a real.
Well, what's the quote? Let's see if we can analyze it. What's the quote?
So right now, the quote is this. Around here, however, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward, opening up new doors and doing new things because we're curious. And curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. So my question to you is that quote at the end of this film, while it does pertain to the plot that we just saw,
right?
Is that quote more of a message from Lasseter being like, hey, it's time to change where we are and where we are with this company. We're not going to keep going down the same path as we did. We need to make this. We're going to fix this. Almost do a message to the audience is my question. Is that like a subtle message to the audience that we're never standing still. We're going to try new ways, new paths.
From Disney, from the studio themselves to the audience. I like that. I like that because some of the reasons that the last era, like the last chunk of movies we've been watching, have suffered is because they were trying to play catch up to other films, trying to compete with DreamWorks and giving us garbage like Home on the Range and Chicken Little, and trying to do what Pixar's doing without Pixar's method. It's when studios try to play catch up, you're gonna fail. All right, I mean that's the problem with Warner Brothers trying to compete with Marvel. It's the problem that faces a lot of television. So to think that this movie was, I don't want to say an apology because it was in development while other movies were being released, but to inject the mantra that Walt himself had in a quote like that, to say like we need. Respect the past and understand our roots, but we need to keep going forward. We need to keep being curious about if this is going to work and this is going to work. And they are trying things with having Phil Collins do the Brother Bear soundtrack and not making it a full-blown musical. Well, that didn't work. Move forward, trying to do a fully CG movie and not understanding what the strengths of CGI as opposed to what CGI of what CGI has, as opposed to, like, don't treat it as a shortcut, find a way to embrace it like the Xerox system did. Like what the Xerox system, when you look at that era of 101 Dalmatians and throughout the 60s into 70s, the Xerox era came out of necessity of how can we do this easier? Okay, now that we understand how we can do this easier, how do we make it good? Like, it can't just be that we can pump these out. We have to want to make these movies. So looking at Meet the Robinsons as a palate cleanser and looking at that quote of keep moving forward, whether that's their intention to say that to the audience or not, my hope in watching the movies to come is that we see them taking the risks again and stop trying to compete and trying to forge their own path, much like Pixar itself did. I know it's some might say it's hard. We shouldn't keep comparing this to Pixar, but Pixar's the gold standard. In this era of film we are watching, look at the movies that have come out in the past 5 years as Meet the Robinsons is coming out. Since Toy Story, Pixar is the gold standard, not Disney. And Disney's desire to place themselves as the gold standard of animation again, whether that's just buying Dixar whole Dixar. Whoa, that's what they call them behind their backs. No, buying Pixar whole hog to put the Disney label on it. Whatever the case may be, their ultimate goal is to return to form, return to what Walt dreamed, to look at something like Tomorrowland from Disneyland itself and Disney World, and embracing the future while respecting the past. I think, I'm babbling at this point, but there is something to that quote being reflected on the studio itself. I think, yeah.
And it worked. Like, don't get me wrong, it totally worked as a line for the end of the film. It's from Walt. That's it's nice, and it's all about seeing the future. Like that does work as its own right. But I saw that, and my first thought was like, that's a message to the audience from the studio. Like,
we're sorry about what we've been doing to you. We'll be better.
Yeah, we're gonna fix it. And the only reason why that even popped in my head was because I knew Lasseter was now in charge when this film came out. Mm-hmm. And that just feels very much so like something he'd be like, no, I want to use this quote. Because, it's got the line, it's got the keep moving forward from the movie in it, but we need to use this quote. We need to tell people this. We're going to fix this. We're going to work on this. We're going to make better films. Mm-hmm. I could just picture that happening.
And again, we're certainly not tearing this movie apart like we did with the past couple. And this is a good start. This is a good start to what's to come. And I have everything we're seeing from this point on, aside from, okay, that's not true. There's 2 movies we're going to be watching down the line that I've seen a bunch. And aside from that, there's several on this list to come that I've only seen once. And watching the history of the studio through these films, I'm very curious to see how my viewing of them is affected. Because Meet the Robinsons itself was affected by my understanding of this shift. Part of me wonders if I might enjoy movies more if I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, but there's no knowing. I can't disconnect myself from loving trivia and reading the books about production and wanting to absorb as much of filmmaking in general. But part of me does wonder if I might enjoy a movie more if I didn't know so much, right?
I've been wondering that my entire life. When I was very little, I watched movies and loved to know how they did the special effects and like the visual effects. Like that was my big thing as a kid. And I realized around the time I was like 12 or 13, I'm like, man, I know how they do all this stuff.
It's taking away the magic.
Do I enjoy movies? Yeah, I'm like, do I enjoy movies anymore? Because I know how they do all this stuff. I know it's not real.
Yeah,
and I've wondered that too, honestly, sir. I've wondered if I would enjoy movies more if I didn't know so much about what goes into the making of the film, what goes into making good movies, the writing, just like all of that, those aspects. And I know it does. It taints my opinion. Mm-hmm. I'm well aware of that. I can't help to be a little biased because I understand all the work that goes into it. So yeah, that kind of changes my thoughts. This film compared to if you don't know all the details or you don't care to know all the details and just
that's
watch it
for good or
as a movie.
For good, it could be better or it could be worse. Knowing what we've been discovering along the way might have made you like the movie a little bit more as opposed to making you like it less. Something I decided years ago. I stopped reading the goofs section on IMDb because some of them were so pedantic that it ruined things for me. Like, I don't care that the glass is this full in one shot and this full in the other shot. I understand continuity errors is very low on the list when it comes to editing now. So I stopped. And that's my recommendation to any of you who might go to IMDb to read the trivia. Skip the goofs because that's just going to ruin things for you.
Because that's all. Then that's what you're going to see the next time you watch a film. You're not going to be paying attention to the plot, the characters, the performance, anything, even the visual effects, nothing. You're going to be paying attention to the fact that the Coke can constantly faces the camera. Yeah, every single time it cuts in reverse, like every time it flips between two people talking, it's always facing the camera. It's like, oh, that's all you're going to see now. Don't read it. I highly agree with TC. I give that the official top shelf stamp of approval of recommendations.
Skip
Congratulations,
the goofs.
TC. That's the first of those.
It's the highest honor I can
we've ever given out. Exactly. I mean, that's it. We're done, right? That's the end of our careers because
we've done
I created an award that I then gave to you, and you received it, and we're done, right? That's it.
Danny Elfman did the score for this movie,
which I am ashamed that I didn't know that. I think I knew. I think I might have known from ages ago, but when that credit came up at the end, I went, "Oh, I didn't. Oh, he did do the music. Oh, and
because he's so known for his Tim Burton scores, I think people forget that he's capable of more than just.
Yeah, he's known for more. He's able to do more music than just German oompa oompa music. Basically,
he did the score for this. He did the score for the first Mission Impossible.
Yes. So, brought it in at the last second to do the score too. Actually,
speaking of Back to the Future, Alan Silvestri did the original score. We're triviaing all over the place right now.
This is what this podcast is. Come on, guys.
It's a good score. I like some of my favorite types of scores are the ones that don't get in your face. Like they
and this one definitely did not.
It enhances the worlds because the music in the first half versus the music in the future is very distinct. There's some great character motifs with Lewis and in his discovery of the characters around him, and it's always worth mentioning when these scores are done by people of serious note, like having James Newton Howard or Hans Zimmer doing, not James Newton Howard, right? Whatever.
For which one?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm
okay. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to bring it up, TC.
Oh, God, it's very personal for me.
James Newton Howard and TC have a history, guys. Don't bring it up, okay?
So some fun music in here as well. But the only other note I have here is a credit to some of the foreshadowing elements, like Goob having bags under his eyes is not because he's some little emo kid. It's because Lewis never lets this poor kid sleep. And I don't know about you, Jeff, but if I don't get enough sleep, I can be a bit of a supervillain.
TC has been known to steal inventions from science kids and use them against them as a plot to destroy them.
It's if my neighbors would just turn down their oompa oompa music, I wouldn't be so angry.
A man's got to score movies. Come on, leave him alone. He's got to write it sometime.
Do you have any other notes? Because we got a bunch of comments from the listeners we can get to. But
Yep, and I think we should get to the comments. I don't have any other notes. The only thing that I had left was the trope for this film. Because, of course, we had a trope. We had a Disney trope, everybody. Does everybody know what it is? Come on, everybody.
Is it the perpetually barefoot character?
No, not this time. But it is the orphan protagonist.
Orphan protagonist, yes. Actually, that goes into I had two different people throw theories at us and we haven't had theories to play with lately, just because the movies don't really lend themselves. Although we did theorize that Chicken Little's in the Zootopia universe, so I guess there's that.
Yes. We introduced the theory section without intending on introducing the theory section.
So first up is from JK. JK says it's a theory on Lewis's mother. Okay. And I do not subscribe to this. I'm sorry to say this, JK, but it is not a theory I subscribe to because you are crossing universes here, and I don't think it's fair. The theory is Lewis's parents Syndrome and Mirage from The Incredibles. In the 30-year span between 2007 to the future, the technological boom is very unrealistic for one man to have accomplished. But if Lewis was a descendant or Syndrome's son, and that means Syndrome's company exists, which means that technology Syndrome was creating could have been bequeathed to Mirage after after Syndrome died. And that Mirage would have inherited Syndrome's company and therefore all of his technology and release that technology and yada yada yada. You get the future has arrived. And Lewis's hair sticks up like Syndrome. The future is now. Lewis's hair sticks up like Syndrome's. Though this is a fun idea, this doesn't play. Lewis is quite Caucasian, first of all, and you're going from the Pixar universe to a Disney reality. So, though it's a fun theory.
They also did establish in The Incredibles, if you look at the newspaper that Mr. Incredible's reading at one point, that it does take place in, I think, 1967.
In the 60s, yes. That would have been my
Unfortunately, this one, where this one doesn't have a time frame, but they go to 2037, and Lewis is obviously just a normal adult, like a normal middle-aged adult. Obviously, it wasn't 100 years that have passed. It hasn't, or not 100. It hasn't been 70 years that have passed. It's only been about 30.
Right.
So it kind of does put this into the it's when he was orphaned. It was pretty much 2000, and it's kind of just a modern day with a different aesthetic. Though I do like the theory. I like the concept.
Thank you for tweeting. And I should mention, if you want to tweet at the show, you can tweet at me at TC's Big Head, and you can tweet at Jeff at Random Bell. We also have a comment section.
I'm on Twitter.
You're on Twitter.
I'm on Twitter, people.
Yeah.
I promise you all, I'm on Twitter.
I do have another one from, although they didn't put the name. What is Lewis's future wife's name? He meets her at the science fair. I'm trying to get that.
That's Franny.
Franny. Okay. So the second theory here comes from. Where's your name? Oh my gosh, where is it? Sorry, I'm looking. I watch films with a Z.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I watch films says the paradoxical nature of this movie could Franny be Lewis's mom as well as his wife, so that Lewis, thus making Lewis his own father.
I'm my own grandpa.
Because now Fry's his own grandfather in Futurama.
That is true, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Good news, everyone. I don't know. That one's weird to me.
The only support of this is that they used Franny's body model for Lewis's mother, right? And they took and so he presents an image here where they enhanced the colors, so they got rid of the darkness, and you can clearly see it's Franny's face in the cloak. I think, and Jeff, you would know this better than I, having been an animator, they probably just used the model because they didn't want to, because with 2D animation, you can just draw a cloak standing, right? You don't have to have a body underneath it, but for CG, wouldn't you need a structured character that you can move around underneath?
Yeah, and because they wanted to have little glimpses of her face, they would have had to have had a model of a face and a model of a body. And at this era in time, it would have just been easier to reuse a pre-existing model that, in theory, you're not supposed to really see what she looks like. She just has kind of vague appearances.
Right. You had to get in there and enhance the contrasts and brightness to see a face. So.
Right, and they wouldn't have spent the time, I know this is ridiculous, but at the time they wouldn't have spent the time of creating a brand new looking character for somebody who's going to be hidden underneath a cloak. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of these early, even Pixar, you could argue even the Pixar stuff, a lot of those early ones, you look in the crowds and it's literally the same four models.
Copy paste.
I'm pretty positive the kids that show up to Andy's party in Pixar or in Toy Story are I think there's only 3 kids that show up.
And just
it's duplicates of the same model, and they would have done that all the time.
Just use the assets you have.
Or my theory is the reason they made Franny made his mom look like Franny is because Lewis actually has some mother issues.
It's an Oedipal complex. He
was attracted to, and he was attracted to a person who looked like his mom. That he would have seen. Get this, he would have seen what she kind of looked like when he went back in time and saw her delivering himself as a kid. So he would have found somebody who looks kind of like his mom as a kid, who grows up to be looking like his mom. I think that's a more logical.
It's another Back to the Future reference, I think, is what you're saying. Thank you for the tweets. I'm sorry we squashed both those theories. I like the notions behind them.
They're good theories.
Yeah, but I can't get behind them.
You know what I can get behind?
What's that?
Though? There's one thing I can get behind. It's all the movies that we have watched so far on this podcast.
No.
We skipped this.
Shoot. I actually have not.
We started answering questions.
I actually have not considered where I was going to rank this. Normally I write it down before we start the episode. And I will
go first then, TC.
Oh my God. Well, okay.
I will be kind and polite, and I will go first, despite the fact that I got you.
Yeah, you did get me.
And I asked you first.
Oh man, you're not gonna make me suffer. Okay, I think I know about where it's gonna go.
Well, I mean, if you think you know, you can go.
No, go ahead. Let me think about it. Go ahead. I want to hear where you end up.
So this was an interesting film. As I said, I was kind of confused, and I'm not gonna lie. When they were introducing the family in the future, my note at that point, which is about halfway through my list, was I don't understand this movie. What is happening? That was my note. Obviously, I got it after the fact because my notes got very short and minimal after that. Mm-hmm. But I'm not gonna lie. I went into this film and I was a little confused. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't quite get what was happening. I didn't understand what the main thread of the film was. Mm-hmm. But I still enjoyed it. I still had some fun with it. I laughed at it in some spots. And then once I understood what the plot was, I think I enjoyed it more. I enjoyed the second half of the film more than the first half. And that kind of saved the film from being lower on my list. Though I won't lie, it's mm-hmm. So it beat out Chicken Little by so much.
Okay.
Just a little bit. So I'm making it my number 3.
Number 3. So that puts Lilo, Treasure Planet, Atlantis as above.
Yeah.
Okay. Wait.
No, that's yours.
Oh, okay. That's
yeah. Because my Chicken Little was number 3. So for me, this is still above Atlantis. I don't know. I did enjoy the humor in it. Once we got to the humorous parts, I was having fun with this film.
Right.
And I enjoyed it. I do, as much crap as Chicken Little gets, I still do like Chicken Little.
And that's fine. That's fine.
You know, it's not the greatest film in the world, but I like it. It's fun.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I do. And I can see what they're trying to do with this film. I can see the humor they're trying to interject because it is more recognizable humor. It is the humor from Pixar films. It's the humor I like. Mm-hmm. Because I like Phineas and Ferb, and the humor did remind me of Phineas and Ferb in some spots. Like, that's funny. I like that type of humor. And at the end of the day, with the time travel aspect of it and the humor and just some more of the animation, like just a little bit more, it was a little bit better than Chicken Little.
Okay. So
it is my number 3, beating out Chicken Little by a few feathers.
Well,
so now for you, TC,
giving all that into consideration, and you know, I'm gonna let what happened last week happen again this week. In that, knowing
you're gonna move it.
No. I'm not gonna move it around. Where it's gonna go is where it's gonna go. Seeing where we're going, looking at the ambition that they had here, seeing the touches of the goodness of Pixar in the movie. This is a movie of moments. You mentioned that earlier, that there's sprinkled throughout this whole thing. There are genuine jokes that land there, and I feel there's genuine heartfelt moments that land. I think the final montage of him right before the quote comes up, the way the movie ends, with the song they use, These Small Hours. You got Matchbox 20 in there, right?
Yep. Rob Thomas. Which when that started playing, I went, "Oh, that's right. I forgot that there was a song for this movie." I like this song.
And that's one of those elements that Pixar nails so well. It's like if you put Sarah McLachlan playing with just the right imagery, if you don't have a couple tears in your eyes, you're doing it wrong, right? And
yep.
She got brought up again, right? And I think that
I was gonna start singing, but I'm like, did I already outplay that joke a little bit? Maybe I did. I won't sing this time.
So, and we've moved beyond some traditional tropes of the fairy tale elements of Disney, and we're moving into some interesting ideas of what is a villain, what is a hero. The structure of this movie, though it is a little bit scatterbrained, when you just look at the thematic arc of Lewis trying to find his place in his own world and finding what will drive him forward, there's a lot of heart in this movie. And though it's not leaps and bounds above or below anything we've seen so far, I think I'm going to put it at my number 3, just above Atlantis.
Ooh.
I'm going to put it below Treasure Planet and above Atlantis. And this
interesting.
It's a tight squeeze to pop it in there. Because some of these movies are so close. I really enjoy the journey of Jim in Treasure Planet. And this movie's not even touching Lilo and Stitch. That's still solidly number one. But
good, because there's some people I know that will be very upset if we push Lilo and Stitch down from number one,
especially for Meet the Robinsons. No, Lilo and Stitch is solidly, safely just a perfect film of the ones we've watched so far. And I really enjoyed Jim's journey in Treasure Planet. It's a far more ambitious film, having the villain of shade that's in shades of gray. I mean, yes, I hate Martin Short's Ben in there. There's still a lot happening in that film that really, really works in the utilization of CG and the fact that it exists beyond all sabotage, whether it was intentional or not. Whereas Atlantis, they do a lot of info dumps. There's those scenes where the characters are just like, here's all the information about them. And the payoffs don't work. Yes, that does happen in Meet the Robinsons, where all these characters are like this and this and this and this and this. But there's a little more thematic payoff in those characters in the long run. I don't know. I don't mean to be sound wishy-washy because I'm firmly placing this at number 3. I just want it to be clear that this is a very tight race between some of these movies.
Definitely.
So there you go.
And it's funny, TC, our lists are very similar. The only things that are different on both of our lists are where Chicken Little and Atlantis are.
Those are the two that are swapped. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. Because our first 3 are the same and our last 2 are the same. It's just Chicken Little and Atlantis are flip-flopped. So it's fascinating that this time around we are very close on our ranking. Okay. And I'm very intrigued to see where we go in the future ones. Now, I do have some questions. That was not me wrapping up the podcast.
Okay.
We do have some comments. Right? Was there more comments?
Yes,
no?
We have a fair share of comments from the Facebook.com/TopShelfPod, where every week before we record, we will throw up the episode. So if you want to throw some questions or comments at us for us to discuss, that's the place to do it. Once the episode airs, typically Wednesdays, this one's going up tomorrow. Unless you're listening to this in the future, then it doesn't matter when it went up. But
time travel.
The episode is posted, so now that you've listened to it, feel free to engage us in conversation there. We love. I absolutely 100% appreciate everyone calling me out on all our mistakes last week. I don't want that to sound cynical. I really, really appreciate that you guys engage with us and let me know, let us know things.
Absolutely, and obviously, any conversations we have with anybody is all in fun too. I know TC and I kind of jab each other every once in a great while and tease each other, and it's all in fun. And I love waking up, and despite the fact that I know I don't make a lot of comments on the Facebook, I only do it every once in a while, but I still read everybody's comments, and I enjoy everyone's comments, and I'm very happy and grateful that y'all like listening to us talk.
Yeah.
I don't know why I went Southern, but it's just me.
It's cool. So let's hit this up. So the first comment we got this week was from Aaron Williams. Aaron. All caps.
Aaron.
Yep. He was worried we had taken the week off, but if we hadn't, he threw a message up here. So, and he also told you, I was a little worried that everyone was telling you not to spoil this for you, that eventually you'd start putting things together like, why am I not supposed to?
And funny enough, I was in a completely different world. I did not, because I started reading Aaron's comment when I went, so Jeff, don't read it if you haven't seen it. I went, okay, and I clicked off, not thinking,
yeah. So,
maybe it's a movie about time travel.
Well, now let's see what he had to say. I'd say that this is the deepest movie to date. Endearing struggles now for a better tomorrow. Betrayal, revenge, the importance of family and belonging. If you thought Fox and the Hound brought tears to your eyes, this is all-out waterworks. The kids were watching it a few weeks ago, and I was getting all wood sick in... Oh, I was getting all weepy for seeing bits and pieces. I skipped a line. I'd say an excellent movie, but not one that would stick in for a good time knowing about it now. I love the Tom Selleck reference, so funny, and something the kids wouldn't have understood. Yes, Tom Selleck joke is great. And Aaron, you are right, and we touched on that this has a bit of a deeper story than what we've seen through the traditional Disney. When we move out of the Renaissance, move out of the fairy tales, and start exploring these types of stories, you can delve into deeper subject matter.
Right. These types of stories, which is something that obviously Pixar is really good at, but it's the stories that people can relate to. And yeah, you could in theory relate to some of the fairy tale stories and some of the prince and princess. You could find some connection to it, but these types of movies are the ones that give you a storyline that's emotional, or it's something that you could place yourself into. It's common feelings of being a human, of losing somebody you love, or being alone, or not knowing who your parents were, but wanting to try to find them and do anything you can to find who your parents were. Like that's all relatable topics that I feel like we're just really able to relate to them a lot better than what we've seen in the past. I don't know about you, TC. Mm-hmm. I relate better to a blonde-haired scientist than I do to a cow.
I think
just saying.
When Disney thrives in their films, it's typically the outsider. In a lot of these movies, the protagonist is the outsider trying to find where they belong, and that is certainly one of the standards of this entire library. And the movies that don't necessarily have an outsider finding where they belong, Home on the Range doesn't have that element to it. But some of the strongest movies do. Mulan, obviously Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, Sword in the Stone. One would argue Jungle Book, he feels like he belongs and he's not an outsider, which would give credence to Jeff's hatred towards it.
Yes.
So
movie.
Wyatt over at the Facebook over on the Facebook thread says, this and another film coming in just a few episodes have a big distinction from the rest of the library that, he feels, haven't been displayed since Fantasia 2000. I feel as if Walt's essence was captured in Meet the Robinsons, his fascination with the ever-looming future becoming quite prominent, right down to the on-the-nose Todayland, not to mention a cover of There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow from the Carousel of Progress, which plays at the end credits, but performed by They Might Be Giants, great nerd band. While the film also has a bit of an awkward humor than the last two films, it is far superior in terms of teaching for an emotional response from the viewer. The fact that the entire plot revolves around a child searching for his mother and finding out that the best way for him is to let time stay the way it is speaks volumes to how we should keep moving forward. One thing you keep in mind is how this affects the remainder of the library, and why I didn't read this comment until now. I think we're on the same page here. One thing you can keep in mind for how this affects the remainder of the library is how the Disney revival began by following the tropes and values of the early Disney films, whether they be from the Golden Age or the Renaissance. But as time goes on, and ladies with ice and ocean powers come into the picture, the studio seems to be fighting against the past as much as it is honoring it. Just an observation I picked up on and will be elaborated on in upcoming posts. Okay, so agree and disagree there. So I know people hate Frozen, but we've got to give that thing a fair shake when we get to it.
Yep, and I won't lie, I have seen Frozen more times than I should, considering I don't have kids, but because of my nieces.
Yeah.
And I will still go into Frozen with a clean slate, with a fresh eyes, and go, okay, let's watch what this piece of crap is.
Yeah. But Wyatt, you are right that this honors what Walt himself was attempting while trying to push towards the future and keep going forward, right? I agree with you in that this has a lot of love for what came while keeping its eyes firmly set on the future. That is why I think Meet the Robinsons thrives in a lot of what's here. It's still thin, but I do feel that there's something great happening in this film, in the company itself. He does. Definitely. I didn't see this. He added a second comment. I apologize if that comment seemed too presumptuous. I didn't mean to say I'm an authority on Walt Disney. I just know the kind of man he was, and just for the information he's gathered. So yes, Wyatt, you are right. Don't feel like you need to apologize, because we certainly have our feelings and opinions about Walt as the creator he was in the early parts of this library. And you're right. It ripples into what we're seeing now. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you love Frozen, and you were not taking a dig at it, but we'll get there. Zach Edwards says Meet the Robinsons is one of the more underrated Disney films. It has memorable characters and a strong story, as well as a well-executed plot twist. I would guess that it's probably often forgotten about because of the films around it. I mean, hell, Ratatouille came out this year, so and the Simpsons movie.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I saw both those at theaters. I did not see this one in theaters.
And because the film's right around, particularly the ones preceding it, it hasn't left much of a cultural footprint since its release. This film has a great heart and deserves to be remembered much more fondly than it is. And just to keep piggybacking off a lot of what we've been saying here, Zach, though it might not have a cultural impact, it does have an impact in narrative, in plots, and maybe not necessarily the technological advancements we've seen from some other movies in this era. There is an impact in some respects. So yes, I think there is an audience for this movie. It's certainly not the cult following that Treasure Planet has, or even Atlantis. But I do think that there is an audience for this. This is one of those movies I feel like can be discovered now. Stick a kid in front of this with an imagination. And I don't know about you, Jeff. I don't know what you wanted to be when you wanted to be little. When I was little, I wanted to be an inventor. That was what I wanted to be. Doc Brown. Never a writer, an actor, or anything.
Fitting.
I wanted to be.
I wanted to travel through time, so that's fitting.
Let's see, Natasha. Oh, well, you commented on Natasha, so Jeff, why don't you read what she has to say, so people can stop hearing my voice. Jeff, you read the comment.
All right, so this is from Natasha. Any movie that has time travel, I love. The Robinson family is so funny and random. Lewis telling Wilbur what he found out about the family is great. I quote, I have a big head and little arms quite often. And I remember Carl saying, danger, Will Robinson, but I guess that was something I wish happened. Little Wonders by Rob Thomas is an amazing song and has definitely helped me get through some hard times, keep moving forward. I completely agree on a lot. Natasha nailed like the aspects of this film that I enjoyed the most.
Same
the time
page
travel, yeah, like I have a big head and little arm, like that's the whole T-Rex gag, and and then I do like the Rob Thomas song at the end of the movie, and I remember listening to it a lot myself when it first came out, and. Yeah, no, Natasha and I, we're on the same way. I like the way she thinks.
This is a good example of that we saw in something else. I didn't remember that song came from this movie. How did nobody say Danger Will Robinson in this?
I know, right? It's so close.
His name's Wilbur Robinson. There's a robot. There's lots of danger. How did they not? You know what? I'm kind of glad they didn't, come to think of it, because maybe that would have been a little too on the nose.
It would have been, and because you know where I would have put it, unfortunately, it's when the robot gets skewered through the chest.
Oh, yeah.
And which was all, by the way, I didn't make a comment about this while we were talking about it, but I went, holy cow, that's a dark moment.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, there's kind of this weird dark moment.
Shunk.
But that's where that line, I would have put that line there.
Robinson.
Yep, exactly. And it would have gotten a little bit of chuckle, but it also potentially would have undercut the fact that the robot just got attacked.
I forgot. I did actually have a note about the skewering of the robot as a great death. Although maybe we're reaching into a Disney tradition from this point on of killing characters and bringing them right back. That death has no gravity when it comes to. I know that's a Marvel problem, but that's neither here nor there.
What? I don't know what you're talking about.
One more comment. One more comment here from Brad. I feel not many people saw this one because the animation is a little flat and uninspired. Definitely not overly amazing, but it has a lot of heart. Misfit orphans looking for a place in the world always gets me to tear up a little. You are right on, Brad.
Absolutely.
That the animation of this, it does not have an impressive quality to it. It's you can see where we're going here in terms of like human CG characters animated this way. Unfortunately, I actually don't like how every single human character kind of fits a similar mold from this point on. We talk about Disney eyes of the past.
Right.
I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of the look of Disney characters from in the CG arena that we're going to see from this point on, because it's just pretty much exactly how Pixar does their CG human characters. I really like the movies that came before this in their distinct design, having a unique look and quality, having something like Mike Mignola doing Atlantis, or Lilo and Stitch having a very distinct look to their characters. I like that when it comes to character design, and we're kind of getting into a very standard look to the human characters from this point on.
Right. They kind of hit that stride, which was similar to the early 90s, the Renaissance films, because you could argue that like Ariel and Belle and Jasmine and Aladdin and all of them all kind of have a similar look to them, and unfortunately we're hitting that era of, hey, look, we found a new look, and this is what everyone's going to look like.
It's not bad. It's just I prefer it when they take risks and design characters that really pop and stand out and you couldn't confuse for another character, right?
Exactly. But when they start looking all kind of the same, okay. It starts getting harder.
The Meet the Robinsons characters certainly have unique qualities to them. They don't look exactly like Penny, who's coming up in the next movie. But it's starting to get into a very similar look. But thank you everyone for commenting and giving us some points of conversation here. Hopefully we didn't screw up anything this week.
Well, guys, if we screwed up anything this week, please berate us heavily in the comment section below the post. We like to know where we messed up, so that way we can pretend to be better next week.
What is next week?
Well, next week, TC, next week. That's just fun to say. Is the 2008 film, the classic John Travolta and Miley Cyrus vehicle, Bolt.
Yes, that is the next movie we're watching.
That's the next movie. That's all I had to say.
Okay. Have you seen this one?
No.
Okay.
Which is funny because I know John Travolta and Miley Cyrus are the two main voice actors in it. I have never seen it. I have no idea what happens in it. But the flippin' marketing for this film, I remember just making a huge deal about them being the two voice characters. Voice actors, and I went like, I don't care.
I look forward to as I always say. I should have a T-shirt that says "I look forward to."
That's your T-shirt
of what we have.
See, we have that's 3 T-shirts we have now, TC.
You have a list, don't you? You're writing this down somewhere.
I'm making a list maybe somewhere.
Okay.
It's fine. Is one of
them.
Well,
as we continue to move forward in this new era, as we are running parallel with Pixar and John Lasseter running both the companies at the same time. I mentioned this book earlier. I want to actually give a plug for it.
Yes, thank you for bringing it up. I looked it up because I'm pretty positive I know which book it is that you're referencing.
It's Creativity Inc.
Yep.
That is, if you are a creator of any type, whether you're a writer, a filmmaker, an artist, an actor, any sort of creative, beyond creative, if you want to read a very fun and inspirational book on the Pixar process, Pixar and Beyond is great. To Infinity and Beyond, the Pixar process is great. But Creativity Inc. I've listened. Find the audiobook even if it'll give you something to listen to on the way to work.
DC. I was just gonna try to pull an audible commercial here at the second. And if you want to listen to Creativity Inc., you can listen to it on audible.com, narrated by Peter Ochluer.
Use the promotion code audible.com.
Yes.
Yeah, right. We are not sponsored by Audible yet.
Yeah, you know when we're going to be sponsored by Audible? Last episode. That's the only episode that we're going to be sponsored by them.
Okay, check that book out. It is a lot of fun to read, and it is very inspirational, much like the Pixar movies themselves are. It's the history of the company and their process. It's very, very cool. But yeah, that's all we have for this week, I think. Yeah, Jeff, good times.
That's all I got this week. Good times as always, guys. I hope you enjoyed listening to the episode. Thanks for joining us again. We'll see you guys next week. We're slowly coming to the end of this set of 10.
Okay,
so it's going to be exciting. So no, not for the end of the podcast. I was keeping from saying that.
All right.
It's also true. So we're almost at the end of the podcast.
Well, we're done with this episode at the very least. This has been a podcast.
Yes.
We've been the people you've been listening to, and this is a sign-off.
Yeah, that is true.
These small hours.
You dang it, TC! Stop being so much like me. I was trying to find the lyrics because I wanted to sing it. This has been a production of Ghost Hat Media, proud member of the Ghost Hat Network. Find them online at www.ghosthat.net.
I like the ending.